Going back to go forward, the 360. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of The Ordinary Maverick. This is Ajay, your host, reaching out to you from a very, very cold and snowy Minneapolis, an ordinary maverick sharing real life thoughts, experiences, and maverick tips. Today's podcast is all about going 360. Now, what do I mean by that? It's basically revisiting, rewinding, going back full circle to something that's potentially holding you back. Maybe something that bothers you, that niggling thought in your head that comes back off and on. You don't quite like it. Very often, these can be childhood memories, impressions that were formed based on the information that was available at that point in time and the circumstances. Revisiting helps see things from another perspective and helps in bringing closure or then changing the approach and impact it has on our lives. So important to move forward in life. Don't you agree? I have spoken about the Maverick formula and the importance of going with your gut. Here's where one understands the issue that may need revisiting, may need the 360. When you listen to your mind, the mind speaks. Let me share something from my life. I spent my school years in a convent school. My childhood memories are lots of rules, the do's and the don'ts, the favoritism, and punishments, and it all resulted in a not so good impression of convent schools in general, so much so that I was completely against my children going to a convent school and never recommended these schools to anyone. Now, this is quite different from the general impressions of convent schools. In India and around the world, these schools are considered to be prestigious, disciplined, and supporting students to excel in academia and also other activities. But I had a very different experience and at one point in time did feel that it scarred me for life. Now, many years later, on reflection and on going through the 360, it helped me understand better and see things from a different perspective. More importantly, it helped me put behind and move on. It didn't matter anymore. There's a tool that's often used during coaching sessions. Some of you might have heard about it or even used it. It's the wheel of life, with different sections representing areas of one's life. Now, the wheel of life should be balanced across relationships, career, money, health, physical environment, leisure, etc., etc. One identifies which area is not doing so well and then tries to correct that. Here, I feel it's so important to pinpoint the nagging pieces that may be bothering you in these different segments of the wheel. Bring them up front and then find a way to revisit, circle back, do the 360, and move on. I did that very thing. Went back to the convent school 40 years later, and as I did the 360, walking through the school, the classrooms, and meeting my principal, now very old, fragile, everything fell into place. I was seeing it through different eyes. The niggling feeling went away completely. As a child, I didn't have good memories. But now, as an adult, I erased those and looked at the school for what it gave me and what these gains led to and how ultimately it all added up to where I was today in my life. As I walked through the school corridors, I only had fun memories rushing in. Times spent with my classmates, break time, eating our tiffins together, playing games, and of course, the naughty times too. The happy memories actually were stronger than any of the not so happy ones. My principal, the person most feared during my school days, spoke to me holding my hand and with tears of pride and joy in her eyes. Super happy to hear about my achievements and met my family. It was a moment carved in my mind forever. And as I left the school that day, I must admit, the Ajay that went in was not the Ajay that came out. The 360 revisit had a cathartic impact on me, and I felt lighter, being able to now see my school for the wonderful base and foundation it was, and the pluses rather than the negatives. I hadn't quite realized till that moment how important the 360 and revisiting issues is, and the impact it can have in re-energizing and moving forward. So here's something to do. Draw your wheel of life. Essentially, this means draw a circle, 360 degrees, and then divide the circle in 8 equal quadrants. Label them as personal, external environment, work environment, career, relationships, money, health, and leisure. Then start thinking through each section. How do you feel? Content? Not so content? Dissatisfied? Bad? And then kind of go a step further. Be mindful of this fact that you need to be true, another component of the Maverick formula, and start putting down the reasons for feeling that way. Dig deep and try to understand what is making you feel that way. You need to do a 360. Go full circle. Go back to where it all started. Here is another story that's remained with me ever since I first read it. I'm a big fan of Sting. Listen to all his songs and love his music. Sting actually faced a writer's block for 8 years. He shared this during a TED Talk, speaking about how he had to go deep within to understand and deal with issues from his childhood, deal with fear, and revisit the place to be able to put it behind and move forward. The songs started coming fast. It's often said, you can run, but you can't hide. And more importantly, you cannot move forward without the introspection, without revisiting, without the 360. You need to go back to go forward. Write in your comments, share your feedback. I would love to hear from you. And for some more Maverick tips, do subscribe to the Ordinary Maverick podcast. This is Ajay signing off and wishing you an amazing day ahead. Stay well, stay safe.